Guys, I wanted to update on our ongoing coverage of Sprint and T-Mobile and their attempts to get approval from the antitrust authorities at the Department of Justice to complete their deal. There's been a lot of reporting from Bloomberg and Reuters on this. It's actually becoming interesting. As you might expect, perhaps, given what the FCC's already mandated in terms of a divestiture of the Boost Mobile business and the 6-year wholesale agreement that would go along with it, there are a lot of people congregating around this asset and trying to understand, and have been meeting at the DOJ for the last 10 days at least, what they can do to sort of create the conditions for a fourth competitor in the wireless market to replace the competition that conceivably would be lost by numbers 3 and 4 getting together. Now, my understanding, according to sources, is they're not looking for a whole new infrastructure right away, but creating what they would call a competitive environment for a facilities-based entrant to come in over the next few years. And then we got the names being bandied about. Amazon. Would they be interested in buying Boost and getting the stores and the MVNO agreement for 6 years, the wholesaling agreement? Charlie Ergen's hanging around for sure, I can tell you. He's down there. Charter, our parent company Comcast, hanging around, there maybe. Then you got the Boost Mobile guy, Adderton, who's been on our air, who'd love to be a part of anything that would buy that back. He's trying to get Apollo or, you got John Paulson in there. You got a bunch of people just hanging around here trying to get a great deal, if there is one to be had, as, of course, T-Mobile and Sprint try to get their deal approved. Where does that stand? The latest I'm hearing from sources is 50-50.
But I've got to tell you, David,
in terms of DOJ approval,
whoever gets it's going to be a big winner. Look about what happened when Constellation got Modelo and Corona from the Justice Department.
Jim, there's a note out from Bernstein this morning saying that if Amazon really were to buy Boost, they think it would be as though equal to what Amazon did to grocers when it bought Whole Foods.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and they say that Verizon should go down on this, that read the language with the agreement with the FCC. This is the FCC already, the deal that they've, although it hasn't been finalized, the order hasn't. But you can see why there'd be interest in it, because it comes along with a lot of things that would be potentially very beneficial to a potential buyer.
This is going to be a great story.
That's kind of where, we're going to see where this all ends up. There's more work to do in the next week ahead. They've been meeting every day. Everybody's down there. They're trying to put something together. As I said, it doesn't have to be immediate. They don't have to put up a fourth competitor right away. They have to create the conditions for one to exist for a facilities-based entrant to come into the market at some point over the next couple of years.
Now, for Charlie Ergen, that would be very additive, right? I mean, that's the way.
Yeah, although he's already got a lot of spectrum and he's trying to create a business out of it.
It's too dangerous.
And he's under certain deadlines he's got to admit.
I'm trying to figure out which one would be, you'd win either way if they get it, so that you don't get caught. I'm trying to process it. Is there anybody who's doing really well on that list? Yeah, some of those companies doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very exciting story.
It's interesting.
It's very, in terms of merger, I thought you might have something on Occidental.
We do. Yesterday, very soon after we got off air, certainly at 11 o'clock, I think it was late in the 10, Carl Icahn filed this complaint against Occidental, which, of course, is buying Anadarko in that great back and forth. Well, it really wasn't a lot of back and forth. It was all one way. Yeah. It's Occidental and Vicky Holla being incredibly aggressive. Mr. Icahn, not clear if he owns it outright, but his economics equate to about $1.6 billion worth of stock. He comes out yesterday. He wants a books and records demand. Listen, the chances this is going to go anywhere are small. But what Icahn has done in his complaint is raised all of his objections to the deal, which, by the way, are shared by any number of people out there. And, Jim, you spoke to them. Look at some of the language that came along with Icahn yesterday in this filing, because that kind of gives him what he wanted to say. And then we'll get to what he's really after here. It says the purchase price was sky high. The intrinsic value decreased during the bidding contest. The financing costs are astronomical. You've talked a lot about that, of course, given the 8% coupon that Buffett's getting. The board and management team agreed to extraordinary, unnecessary, expensive financing. They could have raised cash other ways to potentially meet and beat Chevron's bid. He goes on to say, there it is, the $10 billion of preferred, of course. The pre-sale of the the Mozambique assets for $8.8 billion to Total. He doesn't like any of it. No. He says, hey, shareholders should have had a right to vote here. They didn't, or they won't. But he fully admits, does Mr. Icahn, that they're going to close this deal. And really, his position seems to be, all right, I'm going to do a books and records. I'm going to see what we can turn up, if anything. But I know you're going to close the deal. Do it quickly. Do it as cheaply as possible. And then I want you to sell the whole company. But by the way, day one, when Chevron came, I reported Oxy was there for Anadarko.
Right.
Nobody came for Oxy in the intervening weeks.
No.
Nobody showed up. Unclear that there's a buyer for Occidental. But he raises a lot of concerns, Jim.
Well, look.
Including the price of oil.
Yeah, Scott Sheffield last night, the pioneer, was saying that Vicky Hall was doing a dramatic overpay. You're talking about
dramatic overpay. This is what the CEO Pioneer said.
For acreage, he's got acreage that he's paid almost nothing for. She's paid $50,000, $60,000 an acre, and I think he questioned how automatic that whole whether it's economic at all. He was kind of aghast, frankly, of what she's paying for Anadarko.
He was.
Yeah, he was
aghast.
That was just so much, and that the expensive money. See, a lot of people feel that 8% that she borrowed from Buffett was the last straw, because then you got the two classes of stock. David, you got to follow the story. This is an ongoing story.
Well, you and I are both going to stay on this story for quite some time. Meanwhile, the story today, Carl, of course, is the market, the S&P down 1.3%.